Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim Young. I am the Interim Director of Programs with FCICA, and I will be moderating today's webinar. This program is being recorded, so to maintain the integrity of the recording, all attendees will remain muted. The recorded session will be housed on the FCICA Member Center and this education portal, as well as featured on our website and YouTube channel. If you're new to FCICA, we are the resource for premier commercial flooring contractors. Our goal is to allow our members opportunities for education, networking, leadership, as well as business support. We have another upcoming educational webinar. You can register for all of our webinars on our website, fcica.com/webinars. This one is Cork Flooring 101, presented by Christopher Capobianco of Spartan Surfaces, and that'll be Wednesday, May 13th at 1 p.m. We've also got another upcoming product webinar. That one will be with Go Carrera, Thursday, May 7th, 2020 at 11 a.m. And again, you can register for that, fcica.com/webinars. Our main educational training program is SIM, Certified Installation Managers. We have several different ways that you can earn your SIM, although we are currently not doing our in-person 3 days to SIM class. We've got our traditional online class as well as a scheduled online class if you are interested in learning about project management in the flooring industry. We've also got our magazine, The Flooring Contractor. Our spring 2020 issue is out now. It covers challenges on the job site. It features some great articles by our certified installation managers as well as other FCICA members. It includes things like job site challenges, becoming a female project manager, our annual Platinum Member Spotlight, and a lot more. So that's a really great resource if you've got some time on your hands and want to go look at that. It's on our website as well. fcica.com/resources is where you can find that. All right. Any views and opinions expressed in this webinar are those of the presenters and do not necessarily reflect any official views or positions of FCICA. Please excuse this brief pause as I initiate the recording. Welcome to the FCICA Product Webinar Series. We are pleased to have Joel McCausland of Gerflor with us today. Joel, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Kim. We really appreciate the opportunity to be with you. It's always good to talk to flooring contractors. You're the people that make us look good. I'm the Director of Sustainability, Sales Support, and Training for Gerflor USA. And that means I know a lot about a little bit, or a little bit about a lot. I'm not quite sure which is true. But today I'd like to give you a broad overview of the Gerflor USA business, the global business as well to some extent, so you see some scope and get a sense of the size of our company and what we do, the breadth of our product offerings, and then give you a brief introduction to each one of our main product categories. I hope that as we go through this that you'll make some notes and write down some questions. I'd love to answer any of those that I can at the end, but I'll try to move pretty quickly through this presentation. I don't want to bore you guys. I want you to make sure that we spend your time in a wise way. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the flooring group. That's what we call ourselves, Gerflor, the flooring group. Global leader in resilient flooring, particularly in vinyl. And for over 80 years, our benchmarks, our hallmarks, if you will, have been innovation. We create solutions for flooring. And you can see a number of segments that we work in that we will talk about in more detail later. Let me give you a few bullet points, maybe a few factoids about what we do. We are the largest commercial vinyl flooring manufacturer in the world. We've been producing vinyl for, as I said, a little over 80 years now. We have 4,500 employees from 60 countries. We operate in 160 countries. There are a couple of these others that are kind of, every time I hear them, even though I've been with the company for a while, it's like, wow. So we produce 500 million square feet every year of resilient vinyl flooring. We've been operating continuously and successfully since the 30s. And here, this last point is probably the most important one to me. When we talk about innovation, everybody says we have new products. But 70% of the revenue we generate every year comes from products we have launched in the past 3 years. And that's not last year. That's ongoing every year. So our product launches are frequent. The updates to our ranges are frequent. We're coming out with new technological solutions all the time that solve problems for you guys in the field. And we feel like that's a role we can fill perhaps better than anybody else in the world. A lot of our clients agree with us. You can see some of the customers we've done business with around the world, and we'll talk in specifics about a couple of these as we go through the presentation today. And this is just obviously a scattering, a small sample of some of the clients that we've worked with. Let me give you some general sort of global group highlights. These are kind of cool things too. So I'm going to work kind of around the horn here a little bit. Mipolam, which you may be familiar with, is the first homogeneous vinyl flooring, and we started producing that in 1937. We continue to provide Mipolam primarily to the healthcare industry, and it's still a great seller and a great solution and a great product. And I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the innovations and extrapolations of that product line that we've created over the years. TerraFlex was invented in 1947. And if you've done any sports flooring in the synthetic world, you'll know that TerraFlex is the premium heterogeneous vinyl sports floor. As you can see, we'll talk about our relationship with the Olympics that has been going on now for almost 40 years as well. So Bataflex, we don't talk much about this one because the transport group is actually managed by Gerflor Central in France. But we are the premier solution for aircraft, for trains, for buses, for almost any kind of mass transit. And we'll talk a little bit more about that today as we go through it. It's not a product line that most of our dealers handle here because it's done on a global level, but it is something that if you've ever flown, ridden, or driven anywhere, you've probably had your feet resting on this product. A couple of the other innovations that have been kind of cool. So we are acknowledged in the industry as best in class when it comes to surface treatments. Nobody has as many. Nobody has as many surface treatments that are as good. They create an impermeable layer on the top of our products so that, say, in a healthcare situation, if you spill a betadine or iodine or some other kind of a staining agent or chemical, in most cases, that flooring will be stained. And with our products, that almost never happens. It is a revolutionary and an innovative solution that we think is a real differentiator, something that really sets us apart. And one of the areas where that one has been very practically helpful, actually, is with our product called ProtexSol. We put that on TerraFlex and our other high-end performance floors for sports. And those of you who have ever dove for I guess that's how we say it. Yeah, dove, whatever, for a ball on a volleyball court or a basketball court or wherever else you've been, you've probably picked up a few floorboards. And with ProtexSol, that almost never happens. It's an anti-burn surface treatment. In addition to protecting the flooring itself, it protects the athletes. So again, an innovation that makes a big difference. Let me tell you a quick story about the guy in the middle there. That's a landmark advertisement that was done obviously several years ago, in 1985. This was at a time when Gerflor was just becoming a presence, a big brand in Europe. And the guy in the picture there, although I don't know him, at the time was a pretty famous actor. And Gerflor hired him to come out on this TV ad and stand holding that tile, kind of strategically placed, of course. And he talked a little bit about this brand new self-adhesive tile, something that had not been seen before in the world of vinyl. And he talks through that for most of the minute ad, and then right at the end, he does what you see there on the picture. He raises his hands, and of course, the tile stays where it is. It got a great deal of buzz, and it was certainly a win for our marketing and advertising people, but it's also an evidence of the way that we innovate, the way we bring products to market and create solutions that did not exist before. Let me give you a little history now. That's kind of the global view. Let me take a look at what's happening in the United States. We've not been here forever. You can see we started our business, as I mentioned, in 1937, but our real first presence in North America started with the Montreal Olympics in 1976. I won't go through all of these, but one thing I would ask you to look at as you look at this timeline, it gets crowded on the right side. And the reason for that is that we are accelerating and ramping up and doing more things all the time. We have over 3 million square feet of inventory in our warehouse in Chicago with backup inventory in Montreal, Canada. So in most cases, the products we've identified as our United States product range can be accessed immediately. We have some innovations here that are kind of called out that I'll talk to you about in a few minutes. And then I'd like to just let you also know about some acquisitions, because we grow both organically by driving new products to market through the established brands. We also grow by acquisitions of market leaders. In 2014, we acquired Connor Sports, who you may know is the premier provider of hardwood basketball courts in the United States. Connor actually has the contract with the NCAA to do all the March Madness courts. About half of the NBA uses a Connor court. And Sport Court is the official surface of NCAA volleyball and USA volleyball for the past 25 years. And you may be familiar with the modular flooring solutions they provide for sports. And then even more recently, in 2018, we acquired DLW Linoleum Works in Germany. when I first heard that, I got to tell you, and we'll talk more about linoleum in a moment too, but when I first heard about that, I thought, wow, linoleum, that was in my grandma's kitchen. But the linoleum that is being created today and the innovations we're bringing to that product line are significant. And it continues to be a tremendous solution. I don't know how many of you are doing that, installing linoleum on a regular basis now, but with the emphasis on green building, linoleum is an all-natural product. And it's an opportunity for us to do some good things for the environment, for our customers. And we'll talk a little more as we go through the presentation today about what linoleum brings to our overall product range and what solutions it can provide for you. I wanted to give you just a few more points about kind of the global scope of our business. And I won't spend a lot of time on these, but you can see we have many subsidiaries. We have manufacturing plants and logistics hubs. Our manufacturing in the United States is primarily the Sport Court and the Connor Wood business. The Sport Court plant is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and the Connor Wood business is where the trees are up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So we have a very well-developed strategic logistical system that enables, again, for us to get product in your hands in a big hurry. Let's talk a little bit about some of the key points too. This is, again, this one always kind of blows me away. I've only been with the Gerflor brand. I've been with the company now for almost 20 years, but with the Gerflor brand for only about the last 5 or 6 years. Every day, 100 million patients are treated in healthcare facilities that have Gerflor flooring. Every day, we make 2 million square feet of flooring. That's always amazing to me. And because we make 2 million square feet of flooring, that means we install 2 million square feet of flooring every day. And that's where you guys come in. So it's an operation around the world that does a significant amount of work every day. And I talked about our Bataflex products, our transport products, over 600 million people. Now I can tell you this number is not accurate today, unfortunately. We're all kind of limited in what we can do with travel. But when things are at their normal, we're doing over 500 million people every day, on our flooring. And then finally, even though this is actually a relatively smaller segment for us here in the United States, residential and multi-living customers actually are numbering in the 100 million range, people that live in places where we've installed our flooring for their residential use as well. So that's kind of a cool thing. Here's some more details, some more factoids that might be interesting to you. Since we launched TerraFlex, we've had over 70,000 gymnasiums outfitted with that. I won't go through all the little comparisons there at the bottom. You can read those for yourself. 50 million square feet in the United States of TerraFlex. 5 million kids every day that play on our TerraFlex and recreation surfaces, and we'll talk about the difference between those two in just a moment. And 430 million square feet installed worldwide of our sports flooring product, the TerraFlex and recreation range. And then I mentioned our Connor and Sport Court connections to sport. And together, when you look at it from that perspective, all of those together, there is no one in the world of sports, and more especially ball sports, that does more in sports flooring than we do. It's a strength that we're proud of. It's a strength that we appreciate. The loyalty that we get from our customers is significant, and that's another piece of our business that we think is very good. And along those lines, I mentioned our connection to the Olympics, and you can see that every Olympic Games since 1976, every Summer Games, we've had a presence. And of course, we had to change the date for Tokyo. Hopefully it happens in 2021. We've already been selected as the official surface for indoor basketball. That's going to be a Connor wood floor. We'll be using TerraFlex in the volleyball and handball competitions, and we're bidding on half a dozen other sports as well. I guess some of that is yet to be determined for sure, but we will have again, as always, a significant presence with our sports flooring surfaces at the Olympics in 2021. We hope that's what happens. This is a sort of an internal mission statement, but I think it points out a couple of points that are helpful and maybe beneficial for you to understand. I mentioned about innovation. It's a key element. We have over 150 engineers who spend their days in R&D creating those solutions. We listen to the market. We find out what happens in the contracting and installation process and say, well, what are the problems? What are the things that pop up, and how can we help you solve them? We're very fashion forward. This is something I've come to appreciate over the last couple of years. We have a tremendous artistic director in France. His name is Gino Venturelli, and Gino's an artist. Gino goes to fashion shows. He does everything he can do to find out what the trends are in interior design, in clothing, in people. And he sees those trends, and he sees the application of those trends. And a year or two down the road, you will see the expression of those trends in the flooring that we release. We're also committed to ecologically friendly manufacturing, and I'll talk more about what that means too. And then, as we mentioned, we are really focused on solving problems. So we have some significant specialty-based solutions that'll be very helpful to you as well. Okay, so we're going to talk now about Gerflor USA and the specific products that come through Gerflor USA, what are available here. So let's talk for a minute, if we can, about some of the product ranges and solutions. This is just an overview of the various kinds of products. We've talked about several of these already. You can see the hardwood flooring and the sport and utility tiles on the bottom. That's the Connor and Sport Court. You can see even very specialized products like electrostatic dissipative flooring, the ESD flooring on the left. That's a product you can use in a clean room or in a high-tech environment. We've talked about our homogeneous product. We have safety products which can be used in wet environments. So the range is broad and very deep. And as we talk today, I won't have a chance to go all the way through that, but I hope to be able to give you some sense of what's available to you as you consider the various challenges or problems that need to be solved in your world and some of the applications that could be provided. We are focused, as I've mentioned, on original brands. We care about the strength of those brands. I already mentioned Connor and Sport Court, who are market leaders in their categories. Mippelam, the first homogeneous vinyl sheet flooring. I visited the factory there last year. It's the same location. I'm sure it's gone through many renovations and upgrades, but it's a beautiful, clean, modern factory that produces our Mippelam, and it's been doing that now for 80 years. Terraflex, as I mentioned, has been made since 1947, and it is the premier synthetic sports floor in that vinyl category, heterogeneous vinyl category. And I mentioned also our acquisition of DLW Linoleum, which was one of the original names in linoleum production way, way, way back. This is 100 years or more ago. And in 2018, we acquired that. We believe we bring a level of technological advancement to the next generation of DLW linoleum that'll make it an even better product. And with its natural base, it's jute and limestone and wood flour and various natural products that go into the production of linoleum, and all of those elements make it a great green choice for those situations that require that. Talk a little bit more again. I mentioned the focus on innovation. We've got a couple of quotes here that we think are pretty important. Steve Jobs said, "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Innovation is the only way to win," and we are absolutely committed to that. It's something that we look at every day, and we say, we've got this product and it's pretty good, or this product and it's really great, but we can do better. We can make it better. We can improve the quality of our surface treatment. We can give it more durability, higher static loads, higher rolling loads, whatever we need to do. So let's talk about some innovations specifically. I think you'll find these interesting. I'm just going to touch on these 5. There's a whole raft of them. I think we have 79 patents or something like that. But so first, I talked about Mippelam as our homogeneous solution, but the Mippelam Biocontrol line is the only floor covering that meets clean room requirements. That's significant. So we use that in a variety of applications from healthcare to high tech. And it's a product that can really help solve the challenges that you have with indoor air quality and other hygiene and cleanliness restrictions on a clean room environment. This next one might be the most significant when it comes to the flooring contractor world. We have a DryTex solution for moisture. And you guys all know that many times the thing that is delaying you on a project is the relative humidity, the RH readings that you have to go through. And many products can't be installed until that RH drops below a certain level. DryTex, which we use with linoleum, with our sports products, and with some of our contract products, can accommodate up to 100% RH. We can solve that problem immediately. If you've got a tight deadline, if you've got a tight timeline to put a floor in, and you're waiting for that RH, or you're trying to look at other more expensive remediation solutions, whether it's a slip sheet or some kind of a treatment to the subbase, DryTex is a solution that will help you get the job done quickly. And it's a simple process. We use a water cured adhesive, a moisture cured adhesive. So the more moisture, the better. And the process itself is really foolproof. We actually offer a guarantee on this system if it's done according to our guidelines. Mippelam, again, it's really a landmark name in the world of homogeneous sheet flooring. But one of the challenges that vinyl has always had is a perception. And historically, as you look at the way that vinyl was manufactured, we use a plasticizer, and that helps the vinyl become pliant pliable and flexible, right? So over time, a variety of plasticizers have been used, and historically, a long time ago, they might have used things more petroleum-based, even some that have been proven over time to be harmful. We haven't done that for many, many years, but as we look at the way that we make our vinyl now, it is always done in accordance with the laws and the regulations, and we'll talk about some of the things that keep us providing clean and healthy products here. But Symbiose was an actual leap forward in that innovation, because Symbiose uses a plant-based plasticizer. First time that has ever been done. There were a couple of companies that kind of worked in lockstep there, and we were able to create a product now that is a homogeneous vinyl that has 100% bio-based plasticizer. That's a significant innovation there as well. Many of you probably install LVT. We see LVT everywhere. You can see our creation line is beautiful. We'll talk about it, and I'll show you some of the colors and ranges and designs that are available. But one of the things that our engineers came up with was an engagement system for free-floating floor. Many companies have engagement systems, whether they click or snap or lock or whatever else they do. But Creation Click is unique in that it's a vertical engagement. And what that means is if you have a problem in the middle of a floor, with many of those systems, you have to unzip that floor from the wall to, from the edge of the room in, and then treat the problem, repair, replace, whatever you've got to do. With Creation Click, you can literally go right to the middle of that installation and just pull that one tile out based on that unique patented vertical engagement. And it's a matter of minutes and a matter of just a few dollars to replace a few tiles in the center of an installation, where otherwise you might spend a day completely redoing it. And then we're also leaders in the area of textile backing, which can help smooth over some of the rough edges on subfloors sometimes. Also can create an additional sound absorption property that's very helpful in some of our applications as well. So there are many of these. I picked a few. I wanted you to see some of the innovations that we believe help solve problems for contractors. And these are a few that you might want to be aware of, because they could probably solve a problem for you on your next job. Let's talk a little bit about our environmental responsibility and commitment. I mentioned the sustainable raw materials. Linoleum is a prime example of that. So is Mippelam Symbiose, which uses a plant-based plasticizer, a bio-based plasticizer. We have about 25% recycled content across the whole product range, as high as 55%, as low as 10%, and everything we make is 100% recyclable. I mentioned our surface treatments, best in class. Our products, the vinyl products, are bacteriostatic. It means that they will not allow the growth of bacteria or other organisms. And so it keeps them cleaner. They're easy to maintain. The protocols are simple. They don't require a heavy dose of chemicals. It's just keep it clean. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the other practical things that are done in installation. For instance, when we do our wall panels and our flooring together, there's no ledge as you come up off the floor on the code base. It's actually a seamless installation that goes from ceiling down through the floor, and that gives the bacteria no place to hide. It's a great additional benefit that we can do there as well. We're also certified across the board. Every product in our range is certified by FloorScore for indoor air quality, and we don't just meet the standards of for instance, Prop 65. We exceed them sometimes by 10 to 100 times. Our indoor air quality emissions are so low that they're almost not measurable in most cases. I talked about DLW linoleum and its renewable organic ingredients. It's a tremendous green solution. And finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about REACH. Now, most of us are familiar with LEED. And in fact, we help many of our customers achieve LEED credits through our products. We have environmental product declarations and health product declarations for all of our products. We can contribute significantly to those credits through LEED. But the other one you might not be quite as familiar with is REACH. Now, REACH is a European law. It's not a suggestion. It's not a guideline. It's not something you achieve or earn by saying, okay, we're going to do certain credits like we do with LEED. REACH actually says, if you want to manufacture for the construction industry in Europe, you will be compliant with these laws. And to give you some comparison, the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States over the last 20 years has banned about 20 compounds, chemical compounds. REACH, through this legislation, has banned over 1,000. It's an amazing thing, and in those In those cases where they ban chemical compounds and it's something we're using, there is this cooperative effort to find acceptable substitutions. So it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us looking always for healthier and better alternatives. But this is, as I mentioned, a law that we are obligated to abide by as a European manufacturer, and it's a much more stringent standard than most of the, quote, green building standards around the world. Just one example, this is a project we're very proud of. This one was in the Middle East. King Abdullah, I think the hospital there, and we used MIPLAM throughout this system, and they were able to achieve, partly due to the credits we were able to provide through our products, platinum certification under LEED, which as those of you who've been involved in that know, that's a fairly significant thing to do. I just wanted to do a quick time check, make sure everybody's good here. Let me just see if we've got any questions that have popped up. Okay, we're good. We'll probably get back to those a little bit later. Let's talk a little bit about market segments, the places we play. Well, this is just a brief summary here. You can see that this is kind of the overall scope globally. Okay, this is worldwide. Sport accounts for about 10%, transport about 10%, our residential business about 20%, but the vast majority, the bulk of our business comes on the contract side. And we'll talk a little bit more detail about where that comes from. Gerflor is a fairly large company. Like I said, we do a lot of business, and around the world, these markets may change a bit. But what I'd like to do today is focus on maybe 3 clusters of market segments. Healthcare is a premier product area for us. It's an area that we spend a lot of time and focus and innovation on. So I'm going to address that by itself, talk about the products that are best suited for that application. I'm kind of clustering retail, industry, hospitality, and office together. Industry is a little unique, but there is a high degree of similarity across those categories of the products that we might recommend. And then we also combine sports and education. And we have, as I've mentioned, world-leading sports flooring. But when we get into that school environment, there's the same imperative to be sure that we're providing a safe floor, that we're providing a floor that's easy to clean and hygienic. And all of the things that make our sports floors great can also be applied to some of the other products that we use in the educational setting. I'm leaving multi-living, residential, and transport out because we don't handle those as directly or as much here in the United States. So let's talk a little bit about, maybe as we get into this, some healthcare solutions. We've talked a lot about MIPLAM today, and this is primarily what we'll be discussing here today. But very long life expectancy, 20 years is not uncommon at all, and some of it lasts longer than that. You'll see as we take a snapshot of this in a moment, some of the innovative designs and colors. We've talked about our stain and chemical resistance with our surface treatments, which are truly world-class. We use this little tagline of no wax for life, and that's not just a tagline. That is literally true in most cases of our products, that the surface treatments we create for them are enduring. We don't have to wax. We don't have to apply additional chemicals. We're using pH-neutral detergents and cleansers, things that are not going to be harmful to the environment. And the maintenance and cleaning protocols are simple, easy to follow, and well within the capability of any facility to stay on top of. I've talked about our indoor air quality, FloorScore certification, and the contribution it makes to LEED. And I also mentioned these integrated wall panel systems, which means that there is no seam. Everything's heat welded together, and it could become watertight. It can become certainly a tremendous improvement in being able to keep it clean. We do a rounded corner so that there's no place for the dirt and debris and ultimately microbes and germs, bacteria to accumulate. So we've got some tremendous solutions for healthcare. In the world we're in today, as crazy and unique as it is, this has become even more important, that we don't have any hospital-acquired infections that are a result of our flooring, and these are things we focus on and are continuing to innovate against. This is just an example. I love this photo. It's just a beautiful example of how the flooring looks. And obviously these are kind of wood tones. We've got it in solid colors. We've got it in a variety of other patterns that are interesting and that also give some practical applications, wayfinding in a hospital, colors, some of the things we do in children's hospitals as a point of distraction. I think you'll find that the range available to you in these product lines is significant. A little bit more about MIPLAM. And I mentioned a couple of these before, but original homogeneous vinyl, very high load ratings. It doesn't indent. It's a very thin product and it's very resilient. And so you can put down heavy equipment in an OR or an ER, and it's not going to have the problem with that many other floors do. When we talk about homogeneous, I know you're probably familiar with that, but that means that the pattern, the print, the color go all the way through. So if there are minor mars or scratches, you're not going to suddenly see a different color popping up. Talked about the no wax for life, the biocontrol products. and the 10-year commercial warranty that's available on this. And then you can see some of the points on Symbiose, which is the bio-based plasticizer version of our MIPLAM product. I know that's a little redundant. I just wanted to make sure that you hear that point. Those are very important, I think, in terms of what MIPLAM brings to the party that some of our other competitors don't. And to give you a sense, and this is just a brief look, a couple of the color charts. You can see we have a wide range. If people want to stay somewhat neutral, let the floor not really be the star, that's fine. You've got a whole bunch of those. And you can also see down near the bottom of this grid some of the more dramatic and bold solutions that we have. We also have a couple of product lines in MIPLAM Accord and Affinity ranges that allow you to actually complement. You can use one pattern and a complementary color in another pattern in the same general space, and it really can create a tremendous variety in the way that the overall look and feel, that overall aesthetic of a finished installation. Okay, I know we're moving fast, and there's a lot to cover. So let me just talk briefly about this next section of segments: industry, office, retail, and hospitality solutions. And I won't spend a lot of time on the detail here, because the truth is most of our product line can be used in most of these segments, just depending on the application. But here are a few examples. So you've got places like the upper left picture here where maybe we need a safety surface. Maybe we need a place, this might be a wet area, or maybe we need a clean room environment. Maybe we need something that's extremely hygienic and helps us control that airflow and air quality environment. That kind of an industrial section is an important piece. You can see some of our office and residential solutions, some of those kind of living spaces, even if they're living spaces at work. That's getting a little blended these days for all of us as well. And another one that I would point out that I think is rather significant is what I would say our heavy traffic solutions. You can see the forklift there on the right. We have a couple of products which I'll talk about in a little more detail later that enable you actually to do just that. It's heavy duty traffic. You can run a forklift on it without any damage. There are some additional advantages to those products. We call them GTI and attraction. They are interlocking tiles, and I'll talk about some of the advantages to you as a contractor with those as well. One of our historically popular products is called TerraLay. That is a heterogeneous vinyl floor. So what that means is multi-layered, and we have both compact and comfort versions of that. So if what you really need is high load resistance, you can use a compact version. If you need a little more comfort underfoot, if you need a place that's just a little easier on you, then we have the comfort version, which has an extra layer of foam. I love TerraLay because it's got some really cool designs and patterns. You can see again, it looks like a hospital application perhaps there with the colors on the right. It uses the Protexol surface treatment I talked about before. There's just really nice patterns. I'll show you some of those in a moment. We use it in healthcare. We use it in other market segments. We even have a premium range. And this is, again, a rather unique product in the world of resilient vinyl because it is 100% vinyl. Most manufacturers, including us, we'll use some percentage of fillers in some cases. But premium, TerraLay Premium is 100% vinyl, has a tremendous wear layer, a clear PVC wear layer. And because there are no fillers in this product, the colors and the aesthetics are just tremendous. One other thing we do from a technological perspective, we use this both with our sports products and our commercial products, is we use interlaying fiberglass layers in our multi-layer products, in our heterogeneous products. We'll use a mesh or a grid or sometimes both. And the goal there is to create a dimensional stability in our products. You know that products can change and move and contract or expand. And this fiberglass system that we put into our products helps make sure that doesn't happen. So again, tremendous product. Here's a look at some of what it looks like. You can see not only the colors and the patterns, but some of these unique, we use a special embossing. We use other techniques that give this floor a deeper, richer look, almost a 3D look. And some of the embossing combined with these patterns really makes it feel a little richer and deeper than a 2-millimeter floor system. So these are things that are helpful, I think, to understand. We also have some of the more traditional things, the wood designs, mineral designs. If you see that third column there, you see some of our herringbone or chevron designs that are also really attractive and can be used in conjunction with some of the others. So similar colors, similar patterns and designs, and yet you can maybe create either a wayfinding piece or just some sort of an accent piece with some of the herringbone patterns as well. So again, TerraLay is a great product line. It's very broad, very wide ranging, and I'd encourage you to look into that too. I would mention just one thing along those lines. the GerflorUSA.com website is the place to go. We have many Gerflor.com websites around the world, but if you want to know what we have available in our inventory, GerflorUSA.com is the place to go. And we can certainly get you connected through that to a local rep who can come out and spend some time with you and teach you a little bit more than I can about this as well. Before we wrap up product, I want to do two more categories. I think we got time for that. Luxury vinyl tile is an interesting category. Nothing is as ubiquitous as LVT. You got it everywhere. It's something we see in homes, and in offices, and in various places. We put it in hospitals too. We put it everywhere. And there are a lot of players in the LVT space. LVT has become, in many ways, a commodity where people are engaged in a race to the bottom. They're trying to get the cheapest product they can because they use it so often. Our goal is a little different. Again, we're focused on solutions. We want it to look right. We want it to be realistic looking. We want to have the right embossing on it. We want to have the right characteristics and qualities from a performance and durability standpoint. So we've created a nice broad range. We don't pretend to be the largest LVT supplier out there, but it is a broad range that gives you plenty of options. You can see we range from creation living, which is appropriate for residential and light use traffic. By that I mean it's still very, very durable. We just wouldn't put it in a warehouse. The central focus of this line is our creation, and we have a couple of varying thicknesses there, different wear layers depending on the traffic and the use. And I talked to you a little bit ago about Creation Click, which is this patented engagement system, and it's a tremendous advantage. Even the speed with which you can install that product is significant. We have a great video. I wasn't able to get it for this presentation, but there's a video of a store, and I believe this one in particular is in France. The store doesn't close. You got 2 or 3 installers working in this space, and over a period of just about a day, as the store continues its business, and with of course the appropriate safety precautions, these guys are just in there working. There's no adhesives. There's no smell. They're literally using either a little mallet or a roller to snap that click into place. And by the end of the day, that store has taken on a completely new look. Creation Click's a tremendous problem solver, and when you have right now, who isn't trying to get every minute they can in business actually productively selling? And rather than having a shutdown, you can walk in and create a whole new look for a retail store, convenience store, an office, whatever, with Creation Click. One other one that I would like to mention, because I think it's sometimes an underutilized product in our lineup, is Saga 2, Saga Squared. The reason we call it that is because it's a square product. A lot of the planks obviously are more rectangular. It's meant to match the size of carpet tiles, which are also very popular out there. But it provides additional benefits. It's cleaner, it's more hygienic, and we have a cork backing on Saga Squared that can actually reduce sound transmission from floor to floor and within the ambient environment of a room. It's also got a really great variety of textures. We've got some that look like fabric, some that look like minerals, some that look like wood. They're really a great product that way. And in addition to insulating against sound, it also insulates thermally to some extent, and that's going to keep the floor feeling more comfortable as well. Very high recycled content. Off the top of my head, I think we're around 55 on Saga Squared. And as we've mentioned, it comes in square tiles, so it installs very much similar to what you might have done with products like that. And to give you an idea of what the luxury vinyl tile range looks like, here's some of the wood looks. A few of those are kind of blending into our other designs, textiles and minerals as well. And a little bit more here with some of the kind of more unique and bold designs that we use as well. Okay, last category of products I want to talk about is technical tiles, and I mentioned these before. The two broad categories of technical tiles are GTI and Attraction. They're similar in many respects. In fact, they look almost the same. They're about the same size. GTI Max is 1 millimeter thicker. It's 6 millimeter, but you can literally run almost anything on it. It's forklift ready. Industrial applications are just fine. And as you can see, the installation is simply to tap with a mallet and run those dovetails together. And this is an amazing, precise cut, because when you put this in, you won't be able to see a seam, especially with the darker colors and patterns. It will look like a homogeneous or a monolithic floor and installation. It's a great solution for renovation. We don't have adhesive. You don't have to shut down. Attraction is just a little bit thinner at 5 millimeters, but it's a very durable, resilient solution. And we've seen tremendous application in schools and other facilities where we need to cover a lot of space in a short period of time, lower cost, great for a retrofit. So and encourage you to look into those as well. You'll find those will be problem solvers in many cases where the complication of installation can really limit your choices. And these are always a good choice. And we don't have quite as broad as a range of colors and patterns here, but certainly enough variety that you can create some very interesting patterns and designs and meet the needs of most customers. Okay, that's kind of the commercial side of things. Now let's get to the stuff that we really love, and that's our sports and education segment. I want to talk primarily, we've already discussed the Connor and Sport Court stuff, so primarily let's focus on our Gerflor resilient vinyl solutions for sports and education. This just gives you some sense of some of the applications. Starting at the upper right, here's the University of Nebraska, which is one of the best women's volleyball programs in the country. And sorry, just one second. And you can see that we've created this performance, high-level, elite application here that they play their volleyball games on. One of the other things we've done in the Olympics many times, if you look at the picture below that, is we actually have a floor for table tennis of all things. And the elite level players have certain specific requirements that they want us to meet, and we're able to deliver them a floor that is perfect for their sport. And we do that with a lot of various applications around the world. Over to the left, you'll see it's a tremendous application, very versatile for education and for things like a fellowship hall, a multi-use room at a church. That center photo is actually from a recreation facility, a community facility in Gardner, Kansas. I've been there many times. We held a futsal tournament there for several years running, and it has approximately 25,000 square feet, I think, of Terraflex in it. It's beautiful, and they play basketball, they play pickleball, volleyball, a wide variety of sports, and that floor is a perfect solution for that kind of multi-use application. Okay, let's talk about Terraflex and recreation. And we've split this product into two because there are some unique applications for Terraflex. It's really our high-end, our performance product. It's the one that meets and creates its own specification. Where recreation, if you got people that are going to do an open public bid and it's low cost is going to drive the decision, then recreation might be a better choice. Let's talk a little bit about the differences between the two and what they bring to the party. That quote at the top is not a quote we made up. It came from the head coach at the University of Nebraska a few years ago, and many others have echoed that statement. It is actually the official floor of the FIVB, which is the international governing body for volleyball. You can see that court there on the right. That's some sort of a world championship or Olympic competition at the highest level. It is a heterogeneous multi-layer product. It has this very thick wear layer and vinyl density. The combination there, I don't have time to go into all the detail, but a good sports floor needs to have a solid top. In other words, it needs to have a pretty high durometer so that it's not, you don't get lost, you don't get bogged down as you're trying to do athletic moves. But then it needs to have the cushion and the shock absorption and the injury protection. And our various layers in a heterogeneous product accomplish that. We use a double density foam that is a proprietary patented product. As I mentioned before, we can install even this multi-layer floor with foam with a 15-year mold warranty with our DryTech system. So again, it solves a problem. It gets you in and out much more quickly. And again, as I mentioned before, we use these double and triple layers of fiberglass in both mesh and grid to reinforce and maintain dimensional stability. Tremendous product. I think if you've ever had a chance to play on it, you can feel it for yourself. It's also very durable. It lasts a long time, holds up very well. And there's a shot again of the University of Nebraska. That, I believe, was the national championship that they played in a few years back. So you can see what that's. It's a beautiful floor. We have a wide variety of colors. We also very often do color adaptations that will enable us to create a school color match. So if one of those colors doesn't exactly match the school colors for the University of Minnesota or one of those, we can always create something for them. And we do that. We do that often. We've got 2 or 3 of those projects going right now. By comparison, let's take just a minute on recreation. We like to say that recreation is a versatile multi-use product that does things like bingo, bake sales, and basketball. So we want it to be a good surface for the athletes to play on, but we also want it to accommodate chairs and tables and other kinds of use that we wouldn't normally associate with a sports floor. It's got a 10-year warranty. We use the fiberglass grid as a reinforcement. It's, again, floor score certified, no wax for life. It even cuts down on the noise in a room. And if you've ever had 150 preschoolers or elementary school kids in a room, that can get very significant. I mentioned before, just as a reminder, this also includes Protexol that will cut down on the incidence of floor burn. It really is a remarkable surface treatment. I've been on these floors, I've played on these floors, and it makes a difference. So our focus with recreation, again, is to provide a very durable and very versatile solution at a reasonable price that will help reduce injuries in that multi-purpose space. And I think you'll find that that's a very effective solution, very effective application in many cases as well. And a little bit, again, somewhat of a limited range of colors, but in most cases, the combinations of the wood for field of play and the colors for borders, keys, and accents can be a very effective way to do it. We're doing some cool things. I didn't have a slide of this today, but we're doing some large format digital printing as well, where you can actually create an image. We just did one for a college out west that looks like a sand volleyball pit, and yet it's actually in an indoor volleyball court. It looks like the way we've printed that looks like sand. So I believe, folks, here we are at about 10 minutes to the hour, and I think we've covered all the ground. I know I moved pretty fast. What I'd like to do is open it up to questions, and I see we have at least one that's been answered already. Kim, I don't know if you want to kind of moderate this or if I should just go with the questions as we go. I can certainly talk about the one that's being listed here.
Yeah, so let me just read that out so the audience can hear it. So is any of your LVT or LVP fire rated to go on walls? That's a new installation that designers keep throwing at us.
Yeah, we're aware of that design trend. We've seen some of those requests ourselves. Currently, we don't recommend the use of LVT on the wall, but it doesn't have to do with the fire rating. I think we're fine from that perspective in most cases. It's more of an installation question. I was talking to our technical director about this a couple of months ago, and I think it's just one of those things that has enough variety in its application that we want to be careful. So I think we're very open to the question. We're very open to the test, and we've done a little bit of that. And I know there are people who've done it in spite of the fact that we haven't officially approved it. And certainly it can work, but I think a little bit more work is needed on our part to be sure that those applications will not have unintended consequences. So I don't think the fire rating is an issue, but the other part of it, we want to just be very careful and maybe evaluate and consult with you about any applications that wouldn't be on the horizontal plane. So let's see. I have a question here too. Do you want to get that one, Kim?
Yeah. So what can cause Evercare surface to wear off? Can medium-duty foot traffic make that happen?
The simple answer to that question is no. Medium-duty foot traffic will never make that happen. There are occasions, I suppose, if you put a really heavy rolling load on a product. Again, these get to be sort of open-ended questions because there's so many variables. But the surface treatment doesn't really wear off. You could do some damage to it, I suppose, by applying a much heavier than recommended load. But these treatments last. When we talk about no wax for life, and I know that's a bit of a marketing tagline, but it's actually practically applicable. What that means is the surface treatment does not need replenishing in the field. It does not need refreshing in the field, and it will last as long as that floor will last. We feel like that's a real differentiator. We see a lot of products that fail because of surface treatments, or a lot of products that require field treatments. And we see some products that, despite our best recommendations, people in the field will still try to use a wax or some other thing to do this. We tell you one other thing we do that we think is very helpful. We intentionally use a matte finish on our surfaces, and that's maybe a little bit of a judgment call on our part, but it's a more professional, cleaner look, and it's easier to maintain. Sometimes you'll see people who get all excited about a freshly waxed floor because it's so shiny. But our feeling is that makes it look a little cheaper, frankly. Doesn't give it, you don't see the depth in the field of vision, the depth of the design. And we feel like that matte surface holds up much better and continues to look 5 years down the road as good as it looked the day we put it in. Other questions?
Get that one there. Beautiful. So if anybody else has questions, go ahead and throw those in the Q&A tab. I actually had one. You mentioned the Protexol a couple of times. What applications is that used in?
Let me take a minute about surface treatments in general. Protexol is one of them, and maybe the salient feature of Protexol is, as we talked about, that ability to cut down on floor burn. So we use that in the sports applications primarily. We have a number of other surface treatments, Evercare, We have Protexol 2. We have one called Pure. And we are constantly innovating and improving on those. And so every time we, just as an example, we'll be adding some of this technology to our linoleum line in the near future. These are all things that we can do to make that floor look and perform better over time. Most of what we do is a factory cured, sometimes laser cured, sometimes UV cured. We use some very high tech processes to sort of bake that coating on, that surface treatment or that top layer on, so that it doesn't have to be done in the field. And again, that does differentiate or separate us from many products who are intended to have that ongoing maintenance. And as a result, our maintenance protocols in the field are as simple as anything you can have. And yet the floor will continue to look great as long as it's just kept clean through those simple procedures done on a regular basis.
All right. Sounds good. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on while we kind of give people a couple minutes in case they've got any last questions here?
Yeah, I know we moved pretty fast. There's a lot to talk about here. I really appreciate the chance to talk to people about what we do and how well we do it. We think we've got some really great solutions, and we've got good availability. Generally speaking, if you come to us with a problem, we can help you solve it.
All right, looks like we've got one more coming in here. In the same vein as LVP vertical installations, what is the proper installation technique or adhesives used?
Good question, and it varies actually depending on the application and the product. We do everything from a full spread adhesive to, as I mentioned, with that Creation Click. There might be some applications with Creation Click where you wouldn't leave it completely freestanding, free floating. You might do some perimeter adhesive. We have some products that are tackified so that they can be repositioned. We use some of our LVTs in raised flooring systems where sometimes they need access to those panels below. So we've tried to give a broad enough range of solutions, versatile enough range that for almost any application you can find the right product and the right installation technique, whether it's, like I said, a full spread or some lesser way to attach it and adhere it to the floor. And in many applications, you just don't need the adhesive. You're able to just go down, and that's one of the reasons that both our LVT and our technical tiles are such great solutions for renovations, because it doesn't require a lot of mess or shutdown or obstruction to the business operation.
All right, thank you for your question. Give a last couple of minutes here. If people come up with questions maybe after the presentation, or is there something more specific they want to ask, should they reach out to you? Should they find their local rep?
I always encourage you to talk to your local rep if you can. They'll be your ongoing point of service. But let me give you, if you don't have, is there a way for us to include maybe my contact information? I can certainly route you to the right people if I can't help you.
Why don't you just say it out and I can send verbally. It to our attendees after. Yeah,
perfect.
Verbally.
That'd be great. So you can reach me at joel.mccausland, and I know that's a crazy last name. So joel.mccausland at Gerflor, Gerflor.com. It's not USA, Gerflor.com. And for those of you who may not have noticed, we spell floor differently. So it's Gerflor, no, not two O's, one O, Gerflor.com. So Gerflor.com. And you can reach me that way. That's probably the best way to do it. And then as Kim mentioned, you can also reach out to your local rep, and you can find that person if you don't already know them through the website. There's a rep locator there that'll help you know who's closest to you.
All right, and I'm just throwing that in. We actually have an announcements feature as well, so I just threw that email address in the announcements.
Perfect. That's great.
You can all find it there.
I don't know if we have other questions, but I would like to just say thank you again. I know you're all busy. It's kind of crazy right now, a crazy time, and maybe we're seeing some restriction on our business in some markets, but surprisingly, we've actually seen some surges in some areas of our business too, and maybe you're seeing the same thing. And with the limitations on how we interact and see people and all that, it does create some challenges, but we think we're meeting those very well, and we're continuing to do business, and would love to help you with any projects you're working on.
All right, awesome. Well, on behalf of FCICA, thank you so much, Joel, for presenting today's webinar sponsored by Gerflor. Sims, you may now navigate to the Submit Credit tab in order to complete the feedback survey and receive your credit. Please note that you must be signed into the education platform for this feature to work. So if you have any issues, if it doesn't let you submit your credit, just let me know, and we'll make sure we get you set on there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.